Welcome to the Lust Resist or Love Persist read. This is where we examine who wants what and who needs something. The cards we're using today are Erotic Fantasy Tarot, the Romantic Tarot, affirmation cards for a bad A, and affirmations for a bad A. First, the Lust card. We have the Magician in reverse. Someone feels like it's their right to control everything, and they use dark methods. They don't really care how they change it. They just want it their way. Sounds pretty maniacal, really. Next, the Love card. We have the Four of Wands. Well, this is a honey pie. They are so sweet. They're comfy, cozy. A homemaker, a homebody. Someone who lights up the space. Is supportive and always loyal. What would these two do together, really? Let's clarify this a little bit using the tiny universal weight tarot to find out if there are any sparkles of attraction or repulsion here. Well, in the past, we have a big storyline. We have the Juggling card, the Two of Pentacles. We have the Five of Pentacles in reverse, and the Nine of Cups. Someone is a cheater, but they are afraid of being alone and being left out. And so the wish that they had was to be with someone. Maybe it was more of an impulse or a whim. But as we know, cheaters never change. In the present, we have the Wheel of Fortune and the High Priestess. The High Priestess is someone coming into their spiritual knowledge after a time of being naive and complacent. Probably in this relationship, some years have passed, and the honey pie is now a lot smarter and more bookish in a good way, while the cheater just stays a cheater. In the future, we have the Emperor in reverse and the Page of Cups in reverse. Someone has lost control. They no longer feel like boss. And they have no love to give. Not even a little bit left. I would say that there is no more love together with these people because the high priestess is no longer codependent, a doormat, someone who follows orders. They've evolved past the dark energies and aren't looking back. Well, let's pull a couple cards to humor on this dark magician. They do things because they struggle. 9 of Wands. They're not spiritual at all. The Hierophant in reverse. In fact, they're the opposite of tradition. They hate. And it looks like they're currently down on their money and resource luck because the Ace of Pentacles is in reverse. Well, our sweetie has the World in reverse. This is someone who just keeps on going and doesn't ever give up. They don't want attention or acclaim. They don't really have any big goals in life. They're not the ambitious, pushy sort with the 3 of Wands in reverse. And they like to keep themselves light and free, as noted by the 10 of Wands in reverse. What I see here is the commonality between the two. They're willing to go the distance and never give up on something. That's admirable, both of them. Do they have anything else in common? Well, they could be swept away and kind of save each other with the Knight of Cups. But it's not very truthful. The King of Swords, there's a lot of, I would say, fantasy involved. Non-truth truth. Like, they have a love bubble, but it's not real. It's the idea of what could be. Let's find out some more. This first person, tell us a bit more about their foibles and fantasies. It says, I stand up for myself and my beliefs no matter what. Even if they're wrong, they will argue all the way. B, I am not afraid to speak my truth. The emphasis here is on my, because I feel like they want to believe everything that they think of. Tell us about the second person. I am fierce, bold, and daring as F. Well, that must be in the undercurrent or a recent change. Because they were kind of a quiet homebody. I take no S and I make my own damn rules. Well, They are a little rigid, and they do like to follow what they think is righteous. They do have a little bit of a rigidity to them. That second person. It's not all sweetness. Tell us more about the first person, please. My stubborn A always knows what to do. Well, they come up with how to fix things because they're always breaking things. I show up for myself every effing day. They don't quit. They'll fight to the end. We have the wounded warrior here. They know how to take it from a large variety of people and keep on going. Very strong ego in a way that preserves them, in a way that they intend to succeed. The second person, please tell us about them. They've changed a bit. I can, I will, and I'm doing it like a bad A. I feel like a lot of time together, the first person has rubbed off on the second person. I'm a bad A, B with a heart of gold. So they didn't go cold. They're still trying to do the right thing. Because they have their heart energy and they're following what they think is the right thing. And that's another commonality. I think both of these people think in an alternative version of reality that's not very mainstream, and they would stand by that version, even if it was different, even if it didn't make sense, just because they decided that's what they believe in. And they made it up themselves. It feels like they're both revisionists of reality and lovers of fantasy, both very stubborn. One of them uses dark, the other one uses light, and they're very determined no matter what. Darn it, we're gonna keep going, right? No matter what. One person is hell, the other person is high water. However, if the first person can't control the second person, even in some sort of fake semblance, then that might be a deal breaker. And that's why the Page of Cups has gone in reverse. And the Emperor is exhausted upside down. Let's get a roast ironic oracle deck, because I think this relationship is wrecked. We have the middle finger in reverse. It's pointed down instead of up. And this feels like Saturn's bad luck. The middle finger is associated with Saturn. And instead of like directing it toward other people, the Saturn has now turned on both of these individuals. Their karma is coming, both of them. It says troll. I feel like both of them probably won't accept responsibility for any of their actions. The first person won't because they never do. They believe they're above that, and everything they do is correct. Even the darker shades of whatever they're into. Because it's done to win, and it's done because that's their wish. The second person probably won't be able to be responsible even though they have high priestess overtones, because I feel like they enjoy looking at other people who aren't doing the right thing and commentating on that, rather than focusing really on where and what and how they should be fixing their own situation. It's a bit of a denial and a deflection. And once they started making up their own rules and felt like they were shadow empowered, their ego started to grow as well, although it is not completely gone into the heart of gold. I feel like they're well on their way. And this card, the fangs are a bit sharp, and I think it's on both of their parts. So underneath the deck, we have the podcast card, blah, 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 blah. It feels like they enjoy the sound of their own voice. And they would talk about nothing to make it something. Am I being harsh here? They need a joint project or two to redeem themselves, because both of them are kind of a little too much into themselves, and they've forgotten who the other person is and what they were actually going for. What was their original wish? It's all fallen by the wayside. And now they're going to enter a time where karma might make them effing afraid, even if they think that they're fierce S. They will have to fix what each of them did, and that will take all of their energy rather than the energy that was supposed to be them together. So my final analysis is this relationship is pretty doomed and gloomed, and I don't hold out hope for any kind of sudden awakening or shift in these two people's worlds who are diametrically opposed. And that is what is lovely and lusty today. Thank you for listening, and namaste.